Hey guys, that's me, Monte, again, and we are going to expand a bit on the cleaning sample thing. This time using the MS technique. Well, it's a pretty stodgy thing, so I would suggest you to go to the UID site. They have a pretty good example of how to use MS technique, what it is, which is very important for you to know before you dive in it. And I would recommend to check that out. My buddy Patrick Bodhi, a very talented producer and DJ from the UK. I know him since we both released on the 4th GD Records EP, will expand on my technique described in the first tutorial. So without further ado, here's Patrick showing you his process.
Hello, I'm Patrick Bodhi, and today I'll be walking you through this second part of the tutorial. And basically what I'll be showing you is one way you can use mid-side processing to extract particular audio from a stereo file or sample. And today it will be in the form of, you could say, an extension of Monte's kick extraction technique he demonstrated in his first tutorial. Now, if you're not familiar with mid-side processing, it derives from a recording technique used for recording audio. And if you'd like to find out more about it, I'm sure you can find plenty online. Now, how I'm using it today is to extract a clean sample from a busy loop or simply from a busy sample. Now, firstly, what I've done is I've followed Monte's extraction technique from episode 1 of his tutorials. So here is a kick that I've extracted from a busy drum loop. So what I've done is duplicated that channel, inserted a fade, inserted a linear phase EQ, rolling off the lower end to keep the bass tower intact on the overall audio signal of the kick. And to invert the phase of this channel, I have used a utility plugin from Ableton, which if we then play together, we then have a nice clean kick sample with a nice bit of top end from a hi-hat in the initial part of the kick. Now next I recorded the kick onto its own channel. And next is where we start applying some mid-side processing. Now what I've done is duplicated that clean kick. And normally what I'd use for mid-side processing, and all my mid-side processing needs, is a plugin called BX Control V2 by Brainworks, which you can simply click a few buttons and have automatically have your mid component, side component, left channel, right channel. But of course today I won't be using this, as I'm sure a lot of people won't have this plugin. What I'll personally be using is the utility plugin from Ableton, where all you have to do to get the side component is increase the width parameter to 200%. In which you then have basically the side component of your audio signal, or some people would say the stereo information. If you don't have a plugin such as utility or a third-party one like BX Control V2, there is a long way around it. Basically, what you want is 2 copies of your clean kick or the audio sample you're working with at this point. One with nothing inserted on the channel. And the second, you want a plugin which most digital audio workstations will have, is a plugin that will convert your audio signal into a mono signal. And I can basically do that with utility within Ableton by decreasing the width parameter to 0%. And then Once you have that inserted and in mono, you want to invert the phase of that channel. You will then have the side component / stereo information. Then you may want to record or bounce that onto its own channel. But for now, I don't need to use that. So I'll go back to this channel, turn utility on, make sure the width's at 200%. I've then inverted the phase. And together we then have which is the original kick without any stereo information. Now, some of you may be thinking that's more or less just converting the original kick to mono. Now, the reason that there is an advantage to doing it this way is that it does give you a lot more flexibility controlling the stereo information and, getting more creative with it. For one, you can control exactly how much stereo information / side component is within the overall audio signal, as I'll now demonstrate. That's with all stereo information. We're back at 0 with no stereo information, mono. Now, this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Where on the side component channel, I've inserted a linear phase EQ in which I've rolled off some top end, in which when played back with our first clean kick, it's left intact the high frequency information in the side component field, within the stereo field, which, personally I think sounds a lot better. So we've retained width in the top end and we've cleaned up and made mono from below where we cut off. But of course, remember, when using mid-side processing, the results really can rely on the audio source, and I really do encourage experimenting and trial and error, because sometimes you really can get creative and get some really interesting results. But basically, that's the technique. I hope it serves you well. And big love to Mixmaster Monte.